Hi there everyone, this is Lopco here. I just can't wait to kick this off. So assuming anyone actually decides to watch this video, which, they might not, people are gonna get really angry. In fact, assuming again that anyone watches this, I can just go right off and predict the comment section. We've got the very enlightened transgenders, as we call them, actually have a mental illness known as gender dysphoria, which is when people get confused about which gender they are. We should not be encouraging this mental illness because it only serves to harm people. Yeah, that's going to be like the top comment. I guarantee it. If you want to say this, I already said it for you, but you're not going to listen to me. Anyways, there's a whole lot of talk about gender today. What does it mean? How does it work? Is it the same thing as sex? There are only two genders, etc. This is something I really enjoy talking about. Educating people about the differences between sex and gender, and explaining why gender is a valid social construct, is important and interesting to me. There are a lot of people who address this topic in extremely disingenuous and bad faith fashion, so I hope to clear a few things up and perhaps act as a starting off point for people who want to learn more about this. For people who are, for one reason or another, strongly opposed to whatever I'm saying, I invite you to hear me out and give this a chance. Dave Rubin would like it, right? I'm in your marketplace of ideas too. So to people who haven't really learned much about the idea of gender, I'm going to distinguish the difference between sex and gender. People often use these two words interchangeably, which is quite unfortunate. There are two very, very different concepts. Biological sex is what kind of sex organs, characteristics, hormones, etc. someone has. This is generally purely determined by biology, which makes sense. Gender, typically described in terms of masculinity and femininity, is a social construction that varies across different cultures and over time. So we understand the difference, right? If not, I can simplify a bit. So on my body, I have various characteristics that show if I'm a male or female. We can tell by looking at a naked body if someone is male or female because of their body parts and the hormones they have within them. Gender is the characteristics that someone has that tend to align to either more male or more female in society. While a lot of things aren't necessarily inherent to being male or female, males and females tend to exhibit these traits as an expression of society. I like to think of it as a Venn diagram of sorts. You see that? That's a Venn diagram. I guess. I tried. So the idea is, as we can see, the Venn diagram overlaps to a large extent. I realize I only drew 2 ticks in the middle, but the overlapping part should be a lot bigger. The point is, they overlap and people fall somewhere on this Venn diagram. For example, what are some traits that, good or not, males and females tend to prefer? Well, females tend to grow their hair long and paint their nails. Not to say all do, and that no males do, but generally that's the case. Males tend to work out more and develop large muscles, tend to be attractive. Not to say all males do, and that no females do, but generally that's the case. For each thing like this that tends to be more male or more female, you would move one to the right of the diagram if you're a male, and one to the left if you're a female. If you tend to fall on the male side of the diagram, then you would tend to identify as a male, gender-wise. If you tend to fall on the female side of the diagram, then you would tend to identify as a female, gender-wise. Make sense? Alright, let's move on. So now that we understand gender a bit better, how does it work to be a trans person? Well, to answer this, viewers need to accept that gender roles are pushed onto people, consciously or not. When a male or female by biology is told to act in accordance with being male or female as a gender role is being pushed onto them, whether you agree with it or not. I think some gender roles stem from biological truths, but are extrapolated to an insane degree. Anyways, now that we know of the existence of gender roles, we can elaborate further regarding said trans person. A trans person is someone whose sex doesn't match their gender. A trans woman, for example, is going to witness, in some form, people expecting her to act like a male. She is, of course, biologically male, but her personality and characteristics lean towards the female side. So trans people will tend to have larger spaces on the diagram between their sex and gender than a cis person. A cis person is someone whose gender does match their sex. Just to reiterate, a trans woman will be expected to be on one side of the Venn diagram, but they'll actually act as if they're on the other. And now we enter an important question regarding this issue. Why is gender a valid social construct? I'm sorry to do this, but I'm going to cite Rational Wiki because I like their definition of a social construct. I know people watching this will probably dislike that, so I apologize. Quote, in postmodern philosophy, social constructionism is the position that knowledge, including knowledge of reality, is socially constructed in its extreme form, that there is no such thing as objective reality to know about, or that objective reality is philosophically unknowable. Only social constructs, which are labeled knowledge of reality, unquote. Alright, so this essentially means that knowledge of everything is socially constructed and often not objective. We can't really know it because of how much we are influenced by our surroundings, basically. This relates in a fascinating way to the topic. When we see a person on the sidewalk and they have the characteristics of a woman, like hair, painted fingernails, etc., we'll usually assume that it's a woman. The problem here is that we don't know for sure that they're a woman. Females are not biologically prone to growing long hair and painting their fingernails. This is a social construct. For all we know, this person is 100% male and is trying to prank us. Generally, however, we're not going to check their sexual organs to make sure that they're not lying to us. To us, unless we take a completely neutral approach, they are female. As I hope you can see, this fits the definition of a social construct perfectly. Along with this, we also construct ideas about how biological men and women should act. What do a lot of these things have to do with biology? Well, almost nothing. From this, I hope you can understand why gender is relevant and should be considered a valid social construct. The next point I am going to address is the idea that transgenderism is a mental illness. So, one of the most common responses to videos like mine here is that transgender people are just mentally ill, and we shouldn't be accepting of them. Well, the science does not agree there. The American Psychological Association actually explains why. Quote, a psychological state is considered a mental disorder only if it causes significant distress or disability. Many transgender people do not experience their gender as distressing or disabling, which implies that identifying as transgender does not constitute a mental disorder. For these individuals, the significant problem is finding affordable resources such as counseling, hormone therapy, medical procedures, and affordable resources such as counseling, hormone therapy, medical procedures, and the social support necessary to freely express their gender identity and minimize discrimination. Many other obstacles may lead to distress, including a lack of acceptance within society, direct or indirect experiences with discrimination or assault. These experiences may lead many transgender people to suffer with anxiety, depression, or related disorders at higher rates than non-transgender persons. Unquote. So you can explain to me how the APA are evil leftist liars, but saying that trans people are mentally ill goes against the current scientific consensus. This doesn't relate to the topic, but I know this is what people are going to get angry about. Wow, thanks for watching, everyone. I don't even know what to do in this channel anymore. If you want to see more stuff like this, feel free to tell me in the comments, or wherever else you feel like. Please send angry responses in all caps to vegansoyboymanbaby@illuminati.me. Thank you.